Good Wednesday morning, everybody. I'm Dave Furtado.
And I'm meteorologist Jefferson Donovan.
And welcome to Keep Her Quick, your latest local news and weather commercial free in about 20 minutes or less. We're going to head over to weather because, Jefferson, we have some red flag warnings in effect today.
Yeah.
Is it because of that wind that's really going to kick up?
Yeah, wind is really going to become strong as we go throughout the course of the day, bringing critical fire danger to the inland northwest. In fact, that leads us right to our first weather headline. Strong wind is going to be expected on this Wednesday. Gusts up to 40 miles per hour today for the Tri-Cities, Yakima, and Walla Walla, with gusts up to 50 miles per hour in Pendleton and gusts up to 55 miles per hour in Ellensburg. Now, we do cool things down a bit on Thursday with lighter wind before we heat things back up on Friday. And because of the strong wind today, here's just a reminder of some things you might want to have in a go bag, especially on a day like today when fires, if they were to get going, could be spreading pretty quickly. Money and credit cards, medical items, food and water, important documents, and personal belongings, all things you should have ready to go or at least within grabbing distance in case you are asked to evacuate. Again, hopefully that doesn't happen, but on a day like today, you can never be too safe. We will talk about the strong winds and today's forecast more coming up.
Thanks, Jefferson. We begin this morning in Richland learning more about a 4th of July fire that severely burned a man trying to save his family business. Badger Mountain Mini Storage caught fire just before midnight. Richland fire leaders say crews arrived within 5 minutes of being dispatched, and the fire was under control within 30 minutes. While investigators are still trying to determine what started the fire, there are reports of fireworks in the area shortly before the blaze started. According to a GoFundMe post, Trevor Hansen suffered severe burns when he fell through the roof and faces a long recovery after a series of surgeries. And a suspect is in custody after police made an arrest yesterday afternoon, which involved the SWAT team. It happened in the 900 block of South 4th Lane in Pasco when officers say they saw the man who had active warrants inside a home in the area. Due to the charges the man is facing, the Tri-Cities Regional SWAT team was called in to assist.
So our response was proportionate to the crimes which are alleged. And we want to make sure that everyone's safe. So the way that we do that, right, is through time, distance, and shielding. And as a part of that, we want to make sure that we have an adequate amount of officers to respond to the call to help de-escalate the situation.
Now, so far, police are not releasing any information about what the suspect is wanted for. We'll continue to follow this case and bring you any updates as we get them. In Yakima County, a former Yakima gang member is convicted killer is sentenced to more prison time after pleading guilty to being a felon in possession of a firearm. 25-year-old Clyde Isaac Kelly was sentenced to 2 years in prison for a domestic violence incident last October. He was at his parents' home, and when police responded, Kelly threatened to shoot the officers. Kelly had been convicted of manslaughter in 2019, and in letters read to the court during the most recent sentencing, Kelly claimed to have renounced his gang membership and has undergone a religious conversion with plans to be baptized. Benton County Sheriff's deputies are investigating a series of mail thefts after several reports from this past weekend. The reports are coming from the Badger Road area. Deputies ask that you pay close attention to anyone spending excessive time around mailboxes or people checking multiple ones. To report any thefts or suspicious activity, use the Benton County Sheriff's non-emergency line. And the city of West Richland has a new police chief from a small town in Idaho that you may be familiar with. Chief James Fry comes to the West Richland Police Department from Pasco, Idaho, with 31 years experience, including 8 as the chief. Fry also helped lead the investigation into the murders of the 4 University of Idaho students and Brian Kohberger's arrest. Fry's new role at the department comes after officers issued a vote of no confidence against the previous chief.
And I think as, a new leader of a new organization that you've never been in, you don't come in and make a lot of changes really quick. You work with the people, you figure out if there's things that you can improve on, and you do that over time. And I'm excited to work with the area agencies, around here. I'm very much into collaborating with other police departments. We did that with the investigation, with the FBI and our local state police and our prosecutor's office. So I'm used to working very hand in hand with people to get the problem solved.
Now, we did ask questions about the Kohberger case, but Fry says he's still under a gag order until Kohberger is sentenced. The Yakima Domestic Violence Coalition is a group that works to protect victims of domestic violence and even stop the issue at its core. As KMA's John Franklin reports, the group is celebrating 4 years of discussions, actions, and changes within the community.
There was no playbook when we thought of the idea of a DV coalition for the city of Yakima, or at least for the Yakima area. We've certainly expanded well beyond the city's reach.
So I think we should be very proud that we really took ownership and knew we wanted to make a difference, and that's, I think, what is evident today.
This group has grown. There are members that we have lost along the way, but perhaps their original agency is still here. There are agencies that we have lost along the way, but then we have new folks here as well.
The panel, which consisted of law enforcement officers, educators, judges, prosecutors, and community leaders, opened up about what visible impact the coalition has inspired.
So we implemented things like 3-day follow-ups 4 years ago. And so our officers had never been asked to go back out to a house and just check in with somebody.
For that. But it does feel like there's been an increase in filing of protection orders. I know that because we will, on occasion, have overflow or additional dockets because there's just so many.
They also reviewed what they said when the coalition started 4 years ago.
Things are going to get worse before we see them get better, and I think the YWCA is a great example of that. We were initially, back then, answering probably 300 or 400 calls a month. Now we answer over 1,000 calls a month. So that doesn't necessarily, to me, mean there's more domestic violence. I think more people are willing to come forward because they see what's happening in the community.
Everyone on the board emphasized that domestic violence doesn't just affect the victim, but everyone they interact with.
Beforehand. I mean, I think that it's sometimes easy for some people to think, well, that happens behind closed doors between two people and that's their problem. But it really is a problem that impacts everybody, impacts all aspects of our life.
KIMA's John Franklin, thank you. And the coalition has grown throughout the years. They're hoping to continue to work for the victims and the community. And sticking in Yakima, there are some local traffic projects today that will cause some issues on those roads. Traffic at the intersection of South 3rd Avenue and Meade Avenue will be one lane in all 4 directions this morning. Work is scheduled to begin at 7 and is expected to be complete by 11. The traffic signal will be dark during the morning's project work hours, and it will be replaced with temporary stop signs in each direction. Lane closures and the signal outage are required so crews can upgrade the traffic signal's fixtures. And with that, let's go over to meteorologist Jefferson Donovan to talk the weather here. Jefferson, you're going to want to crank the AC in the car. Hopefully anybody's ACs are recharged because it is hot out there.
Yeah, it's definitely warm out there. Not as hot as yesterday, but still it is July. Temperatures are into the 90s, which I believe most folks would categorize as hot. Let's take a look at what we can expect for today. We will be looking at a mixture of clouds and sunshine to go with these temperatures that will primarily be residing in the low to mid 90s today. The Kittitas Valley will be a bit cooler with daytime highs this afternoon only in the low to mid 80s. Now, what I will say is that in terms of cloud cover for the Kittitas and Yakima Valley specifically, we will be looking at increasing clouds this afternoon, and in fact by the late afternoon hours we could be even seeing partly to mostly cloudy skies. For Pendleton, Walla Walla, and the Tri-Cities, for the Columbia Basin and Blue Mountain foothills, we should maintain mostly sunny skies as we go throughout this Wednesday. Now, the big story today is actually going to be on the wind side of things. Very strong winds will be sweeping across the inland northwest today for the Tri-Cities, Yakima, and Walla Walla. Wind today could gust as high as 40 miles per hour, with gusts up to 50 miles per hour in the Pendleton area and 55 mile per hour wind gusts possible today through the Kittitas Valley. Going into Thursday, wind is going to be lighter across the board, but the Kittitas Valley will stay breezy tomorrow with those gusts up to 35 miles per hour. But again, the big story today, the big wind concern for today will, or I should say the big wind concern for the forecast will be today with those strong winds. Because of the strong wind that we are expecting today and those warm temperatures that we've already referenced, red flag warnings have been posted for a vast majority of the viewing area from 11 a.m. this morning until 10 p.m. this evening. Now, what I will say is that Kittitas County and western Yakima County aren't in the official red flag warnings, and that is just kind of semantics. Relative humidity values are going to be just high enough that we are not going to quite see dry conditions to red flag warning criteria today, but still, with the winds how they are and how dry we have been, absolutely everybody in our viewing area should practice that fire safety today and stay fire aware, because if a fire were to spark near where you live, that could spell trouble pretty quickly. Now, as we go into the next 2 days, I've already mentioned that Thursday is going to be a lighter wind day than today. High temperatures tomorrow will also only be topping out in the 80s, and then by Friday, here comes temperatures back into the 90s with unabated sunshine. We will heat things up even further as we go through the coming weekend. Right now, I'm going to throw it all over to Dave.
Thanks, Jefferson. The State Recreation and Conservation Funding Board just announced several grants. Locally, Benton County is getting $500,000 to build a new splash pad in Benton City, and they're also getting $76,000 to improve shooting range facilities. Over in Adams County, a little over $345,000 will be used to renovate basketball courts in Othello's Kiwanis Park. And in Klickitat County, there are several grants related to the nature trails and wildlife, but the biggest is over $4.7 million to buy 2,800 acres of woodland to join it with another area that preserves rare trees and priority wildlife species. And Yakima Chief Hobbs has been awarded nearly $1.9 million through Washington's Clean Energy Community Grant Program. A total of $36.6 million is being distributed across the state to support clean energy projects. KIMA's Anissa Williams tells us how the money given to Yakima Chief Hobbs is being used.
The grant will fund the installation of CO2 recovery technology at YCH's Sunnyside facility, aimed at capturing and reusing carbon dioxide from its hop extract process.
The project reflects our commitment to continuous improvement and our ongoing efforts to reduce our carbon footprint. Even with this valuable support from Commerce, YCH remains dedicated to exploring additional opportunities for energy efficiency and further our carbon footprint reduction.
Ortega says the project could reduce the company's reliance on outside CO2 suppliers by up to 50%.
Buying less CO2 liquid from our CO2 supplier also means less CO2 truck deliveries. Therefore, less traffic, less diesel fuel being used by these trucks, and less wear and tear on their tires that would normally pollute the road and waterways due to rubber coming off from these tires. It's a win-win.
This will be the second CO2 recovery system at the site. YCH installed the first one in 2019. The new system will be added to the company's newer extraction facility that was built in 2020.
Sustainability is not just a buzzword anymore. YCH is leading the charge and turning these lofty visions and projects into reality.
KIMA's Anissa Williams, thank you. And the folks over at Yakima Chief Hobbs plan to collect and reuse about 1,600 tons of liquid CO2 each year instead of buying it from a supplier, and will continue looking for more ways to reduce their environmental footprint. And speaking of environmental footprint, Hanford leaders are sharing some pictures from a recent effort to treat radioactive waste. They posted on Facebook about 1,000 gallons of treated waste was recently solidified and safely disposed of at a Utah facility. A similar amount of treated Hanford waste is also being disposed of in Texas. It's part of the Department of Energy's exploration of off-site waste treatment options. In Yakima, the Salvation Army is getting ready to launch a capital campaign. They hope to raise $750,000 to renovate their next home. The money will be used for fixing the HVAC and elevator at their future community center and completely redoing their upcoming location for the Hope Market. That area is essentially gutted right now. It's actually the first time the local chapter of the Salvation Army will be attempting one of these campaigns.
For one, the Salvation Army has never had a capital campaign here in this Yakima, and so this is our very first capital campaign. We've had our two facilities for, oh my goodness, over 50 years, and now is our time.
The Salvation Army will be hosting the free family event on July 15th. There will be a barbecue and tours of their next facility at 509 North 4th Street from 5 to 7 p.m. The United Way of Benton and Franklin counties is bringing back their mentoring program this year, but with a twist. This is the organization's 5th year doing the Attendance Matters program. The program is designed for young adults to engage with young students to increase students' attendance in schools. This year's twist, including elementary students instead of just middle school students. Since 2020, school attendance has significantly dropped, but leaders say this program has helped change that.
It's a great program. I was able to visit our schools last year when our mentors were serving, and you can watch them interact with the kids. I had one kid look at me and say, when I transferred to this school a year ago, I had nowhere to go. I didn't want to come to school, and then I found these Attendance Matters mentors, and I've been hanging out with them at lunch and checking in with them, and they're the only reason I come to school.
Now, the Attendance Matters program's application is open to any college student who's interested in education. Spots are limited to 6 students with compensation. For more information, visit our website, KEPRTV.com. And finally, it looks like a well-known burger chain, mostly in Western Washington and Oregon, is now coming to the Tri-Cities. A representative from Burgerville tells us they're working to join the Kennewick community, but they don't yet have a time frame or specific details to share, like a potential location. However, there are already Burgerville job postings mentioning Kennewick on Indeed. 25 of their 36 existing locations are in the Portland area. The regional chain is known for sourcing most of their ingredients from the Pacific Northwest. And with that, that does it for us. Thank you for watching this episode of Keeper Quick. For more local news and weather, you can head over to our websites, Keeper and KIMATV.com, as well as our Facebook pages. But while you're here, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up with our latest mini newscasts Monday through Friday. Have a wonderful Wednesday.